Come here now, girl.
Hello and welcome to WhatsMap, your one-stop shop for everything workshop. I'm BonBonB and you're very, very welcome. Well, it's Tuesday's request day. Today's map was requested by the creator over on Twitter. Now, if you want to do the same, the handle you're looking for is at Edge of the Sofa. And if you're wondering why at Edge of the Sofa, well, at the time I was living life on the edge of the sofa rather than actually on YouTube. And this was before anything to do with BonBonB. Now, I would switch it to BonBonB, but that had already been taken and various other combinations of it. So I decided, look, I've been using Edge of the Sofa since forever, so I'm sticking with it forever. Anyway, yes, today's map, it's a Fantasy Star map. It's got some similarities to a map that we reviewed quite recently and was very strong as well in the aesthetics. But before we do any of that, we'll have one of these, please. That's right, clicking that like button really does support the channel, gets me seen by more people and helps me grow a little bit more every single day. Thank you for your support. Today's map is Aldavina by Chappo Cities. Right, fantasy map which isn't lacking for places to build. It swoops, it's really very expansive. It's an expansive map. Start square, lots of flat buildable space there, and probably the big difference between this map and the one I'm going to talk about in a moment. You've got terrain heights which are pretty flat across the whole, apart from the feature areas which are somewhat feature-ish. Resources are strong. I think you're going to be okay with resources, although there is field painting. And then if you have Sunset Harbour and you want to do some fishing, we have all of the varieties of fish, so credit for that. Okay, off to the workshop. What do we need? Well, it's a mass transit map. You will need mass transit for this one. Apparently, we are also going to need network extensions too. Don't know why we really need both. Clever design would remove one or the other of those. The Caledonia concrete theme and the photorealistic Final LUT by Reaper are in operation. We've also got some river rocks, some surface rocks, some palms, some generic trees, some leafy tree sets, and that is it. So, what's this other map that I liken today's map to? Well, it doesn't look anything like it, but in some ways it's very similar and very different. I know, I'm making no sense at all. But if you remember back to a Quirky Geek Girl's Autumnal Dream, that also was a fantasy map. The difference is, while both are really expansive, and that's what they have in common, and both are aesthetically very pleasing, although in very different ways as well, the difference between Quirky's map and this one is Quirky's map flowed. It just kind of went from one area to another. Now, I think it was a massive, massive statement that the whole map was, yes, we're doing autumn, so it was lots of autumnal trees and whatever, but it was a massive statement. The hills and the fantasy valleys were much bigger than they really needed to be, but it wasn't done badly. It was done quite well on the whole, I still stand by that. Today's map has all of those really interesting fantasy elements thrown in, probably some more fantasy elements than Quirky put into hers. And yes, the aesthetics here are, well, slightly drier looking. We've got some river rocks on the line. We'll see a few of those. They're easy to move, Move It or the bulldozer. Let's grab Move It, show you how easy that one is to move. If you're new to things, Move It mod is the must-have mod. But yeah, so a completely different aesthetic, but the aesthetics here are, well, I mean, we've got a great theme and a great LUT and a great mix of trees, although it's a weird combination of trees, I would say, with this one. Here's a big old intersection. It's going to take us down towards the start square. We've got one or two minor encroachment issues here as well, like some encroaching rocks there and a bit further up as well, and so on. But yes, I think that other than the slight encroachments, that is a very nice looking intersection, very neatly done. So yes, the big difference here is a big old bridge coming along in a moment. Oh, and another rail line which will have some river rocks on it as well. Let's have a quick glance at that. So yes, the big difference, there's your river rocks on the line, and some actually up here as well. Ba-boom. Big old bridge coming. Yeah, the big difference is this map doesn't really flow from one feature area to another. The feature areas are all very strong, very strong, very striking. And some of them are exceptional. I'm stick by that. They are exceptional. That the map design, the actual sitting down and the planning out of the layout of how all these things will sew together into one seamless project was, I feel, much more compelling with Quirky's map than it is on this one. We've got a swirly about here. Again, very nicely detailed. I'm loving the detailing on the intersections. We've got a little bit of encroaching grasses up here, I do believe, somewhere. Yeah, just here, a little bit there. Minor stuff. Start square, a loop about, which will send us back out the way we came. But again, plenty of buildable space there. And there is one area where this map has won over Quirky's map, in that the start square is a lot easier to get on with than the Autumnal Dream. But both are fantasy maps. Both have got a huge range. We've got all the different areas, lots of different types of biomes and buildable locations in both maps. Is just the overall design on this one. When we get to the second half of the show, you're going to find this, we're going to be like jumping from one spot to another spot to another spot. And the main feature area is, well, it's almost chunked off from the map. It's a very weird thing. What could have been the focal point of the entire map, leading the eye into the map, has been kind of like, almost like, what am I going to do in this corner? I know I'm going to make something big and wonderful. And it is big and it is wonderful. But it's confusing. And it doesn't open up the map. It's closed away from the map. It's very odd thing, I'll say. Onto the rail. Not too much to complain about with the rail. Yes, we've got the encroaching foliage here and there. Encroaching rocks, sorry. And, well, we've got some nice tree line detailing alongside. Makes it very easy to find the rail. Some maps, I have trouble finding the rail, you know, because it's just tucked away and hidden. And with these, outlined by trees. Yeah, there's rocks on the road there. Also, you may have noticed we've got some slight gradient issues with that. And here as well, some gradient issues going in from each side, and a bit of a hole there. I can live with that. I can live with it. So there are some minor things going on with it. The gradient issues, though, given that this is a fantasy map, I'm less concerned about as long as they aren't ridiculous. And I think on what we just saw there, they're not ridiculous. They are well within the bounds of what should be allowed on the fantasy map. So I think we can let that one go. It hasn't looked so much like a fantasy map until this point, though. It's felt almost quite realistic. And yeah, in the middle of the map, the layout of the map does have at ground level a very realistic flow. There are rivers, which isn't a natural river system. And again, at ground level, I think if you're doing screenshots at ground level, you're going to be absolutely fine with those. If you go up and start doing things from up above, then weirder things are going to appear with your screenshots. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We've got a whole second half of the show to come, including the shipping routes and the water flow. And you won't have any problems with either of those either. Well, we shouldn't jump the gun, really, should we? Let's take an intermission.
Do you have trouble building on steep hills? Do your buildings continually glitch into or out of the ground? Then you need the Beginner's Guide to Building on Steep Hills by BonBonB. Click the information button now.
And so back to Aldavina by Chappo Cities, and these are your shipping routes with all the shipping triangles. That's pretty much all you're going to ask for, isn't it? Oh, we've got a little bit of shipping jinky-janky. You won't really notice that with the ships running along, but it could be smoother. It could be smoother. But I challenge anybody to notice it in actual gameplay. I don't think anybody really will. Shipping route goes into there. Yes, I know it's a right angle turning, but that doesn't matter quite so much there. And we get very close to the shoreline there without actually going onto shore. So again, it's pushing it a little bit. It could be a little bit more fine-tuned, but in terms of gameplay, I think this is definitely a strong option. Where I head off towards the edge of the map there. All good. Right, water flow. We have good strong water flow on these fake rivers, and they are fake rivers, but that doesn't really matter because in the start square we have all of the pipes already in place, and then the pipes will lead us across to the edge of the map. The edge of the map where we have all of the water facilities already in place. You'll see over here, good strong water flow here, so you can draw and pump over here, and you should be good to go. Right, overall, it's an interesting map. It's a fantasy map, and it's weirdly like that. That is quite interesting. I'm going to stick with interesting. We've got plenty of decent-sized islands to build on, and I'm not complaining about the sizes of the islands or places to build or connections or anything like that. It's just the way the whole thing flows together. Oh, by the way, I do like this abandoned road leading up to the essential lighthouse. Ah, isn't she lovely? I think that works very neatly indeed. So there's plenty of credit to be given where there is credit to be given. This slightly more inaccessible island. I mean, you can still build into it, but it's a bit more chunky. This island, lots of buildable space over on this island. Some really nice beaches there as well. And another chunky island. Then we've got an atoll island. See how they don't really flow into each other. It's kind of like, what should I put in this area? I'm just going to put an atoll. And it is a very nice atoll. And then over here, we have a really weird sloping slice of a beach. I mean, what is this beach all about? It goes in for like a kilometre. It's almost like a crater that has been partially filled in by the sea. A good use of the oil texture and the sand texture into each other, causing the merge between the beaches and the land is very nice. And I've got to say that this is my favourite castle for a long time. I've got one grumble with it, but I'm going to save that to the end because everything about this castle I like. It's very plain. It's very square. It's very dry and dusty. We've got the moat, dried out moat with the river rocks at the bottom of it on the outside. Got a very nicely walled off cemetery on the inside. It's good. But we do have the walls running through the towers, and I think a stop-start on the nodes at the towers would be the only thing that would make that a better castle. I even like the entrance. Very nicely done indeed, and you can take a bow on that one, Chappo. I am absolutely super impressed. A bit of field painting going on, and then you got this fantasy corner over here. This doesn't work for me. I like this. Okay, this is weird. Fantasy works very nicely. It's very well done. Loving the waterfalls and the way that they work as well. The whole of that is amazing. And then the water just pours straight off the edge of the map, and I feel it would have made much better coming down into the map. We've also got this quarry as well, which again, first of all, it's quarry at ground level. It's not even dug into the ground. It's at ground level with like a mountain around the house. Have we dug out the entire mountain maybe? And then we've got this gateway made of obviously the standing stones, but no gateway on any of the other four roads. Okay, so could we have the gateway here instead? What's the gateway doing on that middle road only? Doesn't really serve any purpose from what I can tell. Everybody's favourite factories. A little bit of glitching because they're both at exactly the same height. If we choose one of them and raise it up a notch, there we go, just one notch, and that has stopped glitching there. So little thing there. But yeah, have a look at the layout of this. I'd like to see this all flowing, but no, we've got the water there which flows straight out. Then we've got a big surrounding clump of rock. Okay. Then we have a sweeping line of highway cutting things off. Then we have another clump of rock there, and then the quarry, and then the rail line, and then you've got the river, and everything's cutting that area off. And I think having a line moving and flowing its way into the map would have been a lot more interesting. I think probably Chappo was looking for ideas and kind of ran out of them, and then just decided that maybe that was just a late addition. Yeah, everybody's favourite factories again there, and a nice rail terminus. And Start Square looks amazing, and we've got a couple of really good assets today. And they're really good because they're by Titan. So many lovers of Titan. The amount of people that have emailed me and messaged me over the years going, can you show more of Titan's work? I really like Titan's work. I agree, I really like Titan's work. But we could run out Titan's assets so quickly if we do them every day. So just little and often. We spoil ourselves little and often. Factoids. Factoids because factoids. Right, here's another one which isn't strictly true. Right, polar bears can reach speeds of up to 25 miles an hour. I will agree to disagree with that because I'm pretty sure you stick some ice skates on them and attach a jetpack and give them a push, much faster than 25 miles an hour. Much better. Vroom. Going to get your Fox's Glacier Mint. Lovely. Okay, right. So loving these. The Half Timbered House, number 1. Part of a set. Plenty of these. At least 4, maybe more, by Titan. Today's assets of the day. Class. And back to Aldavina by Chappo Cities, which in its own way is class. It's, for me, just doesn't flow. It's a strong fantasy map that is going to be good for many of you. If you're looking to do a big city build on the fantasy map, this could be it. But what do you think of it? Is it a 1-star map? Is it a 5-star map? Is it somewhere in between? Your vote really does count. We use it at the end of the month for the Viewer's Choice Top 10. Will this be one of the top 10 maps of the month? Only you can decide. Click the I button now in the top right hand corner of your screen. It'll take you to the voting page where you can vote for free with a Facebook, Gmail, Apple or a Patreon account. What do I think of today's map? Well, actually, aesthetically, I really like it. If you take away the design aspect of it, I would be going a good strong 4 stars. I think it has a real classy vibe to it. But the design, I don't get. It's an odd thing. It doesn't flow. All the individual areas add up to way more than the actual map does. I'm going to go for a medium-high 3. Detailing, not too much wrong with it. Plenty of good stuff going on. Want to give it 4 stars. Doesn't feel like a 4-star map, and I don't know why. So I'm going to go for a very high 3, but it's probably being done by a star there, I feel. Gameplay potential, I think this is pretty playable. I would go higher than a medium high 4, but again, it just doesn't feel right to do so. Aldavina by Chappo Cities. Perplexing map. A very perplexing map. If you play on this map, you will have a good game. You will have a good looking city. You will have to suspend some disbelief and try and work out what you want to do with it. But it's definitely a credible map with some good standards. Anyway, thank you very much if you're still here. Thank you for watching, for commenting, for liking and for subscribing. Thank you to the BonBonB buddies over on Patreon. That list has now been updated, so thank you guys for another month. And I'll be back tomorrow with another map in the What's Map series, and tonight on BonBonB 2 with Where on Earth Am I?